Welcome back, everybody. Today's guest, I have Marc Belizario. We dive in a little bit about the stresses of the job. We talk about travel, and we talk about how he was raised and got started into the film industry. So, hope you enjoy. Today's guest, we have Marc Belizario. Would you like to tell us what you do for a living?
Sure. I've never been on a podcast either, guys, so we're settling in. In the film industry, I do camera operating, drone operating, and I'm trying to DP more. Can't say I'm a DP yet, to be honest, but I've been DPing a couple small projects, trying to get more comfortable, I really want to transition to that. But a lot of camera operating, a lot of drone operating.
Well, that's good.
That's what it is.
I mean, you've been trying to do director of photography for a long time now, and I've seen your work, and it's amazing. So
thanks, Dylan. What a nice guy. Such a nice guy.
Oh, I try.
Oh, gotta stop.
Gary's told me that I have a smile to kill for, so I'm trying to work on that. But I think I've always been nice, right?
Dylan's a nice, and you have this facade of like a hard biker, and he's like the softest teddy bear, Jordan. I'm sure you know. But yeah, dude, the industry is fun. I don't know. What do you do? Yeah, dude. I mean, can I ask you questions? How's this conversation?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, what have you been doing? Like, what have you been working on? 'Cause I know you got all your production gear. Obviously, you're doing a podcast now, which is good, bro. Proud to see you getting out there, grinding.
Yeah, I've been. I think the last thing me and you worked on, if I remember correctly, was The Ultimate Fighter, and we were PAs.
No,
at the time.
The first thing we ever worked on.
No. Oh, well, yeah. The first thing we worked on, we were PAs together on Fighter.
Oh yeah.
So I have bumped up since then. So I'm ACing, and I've been ACing for a while. So like, I've talked about this before, but Drew was the guy.
Oh, fucking Drew, yeah.
Who became the guy who gave me that shot to be an AC.
Shout out to Drew.
I've been ACing, and then I've just now recently, like, I've been shooting a lot more as well.
Fuck yeah.
I shot, believe it or not, I DP'd for a UFC gig.
Nice, man.
I kind of forgot what it's called. Oh, it was a UFC watch party.
Fuck yeah.
They hired me to DP for the UFC watch party, and I've been shooting more confessionals on Fighter. So.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, so I've been doing that too, and then there's a new show that came out back in January. Called Power Slap.
I saw that, man.
And I was shooting quite a bit on that too. I mean, I wasn't doing like reality, but I was shooting interviews and confessionals, stuff like that.
Sick.
So I've been shooting a lot more, and I've been wanting to show everybody that I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I mean, I just need the right person to be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's keep doing it. So the fact that I have that DP credit on my resume, I think, has helped me a lot.
Yeah, man.
So
it's funny what like a title will help, like how much a title on even like IMDB, or just if you can put it, if your name's in the credits for that, and you can even show just like a producer or somebody, it gives you a little bit more credibility. It means a lot type thing, It doesn't seem like it, just like a little name or a little like title in your whole like what's it called, resume, but yeah, for some reason it gives a like kind of like a boost, like a level up, and the more you can stack them, because that's like that phasing thing, dude. It's like even from PA to AC, every transition is like you're stuck in that pool, and you only are seen as that pool, and then anybody that wants to kind of give you a chance will give you that like first little like accolade, right? But then you're still kind of seen as that position, and it's like it's a matter of stacking those like merits up so that you can slowly transition out of it. And it's just like a hard thing because most of your connections, even though you could have a really cool EP that you're working with, they kind of just see you as a PA. Oh, you have potential, whatever, but they have their list of people too. So it's kind of hard to grow. What I've seen, it's hard to grow without getting those like accolades, and it's hard to get those accolades with the same people that are giving you the current position, if that makes sense, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like, it takes a lot of like, it turns more into a corporate ladder type of stacking if you're staying with the same pool, trying to transition, rather than you come across a whole different like pool of people, and then you kind of like not necessarily hide away like the lower position jobs, but you kind of just show like the 3, 4, 5 higher position jobs to that face, and then they see you more as that, and then you're able to like. That's kind of how I've seen, or what I've seen the most help is, just like progressing through your career type thing. Because, I don't know, just like the accolade, that credit thing. I don't know if that was a jumbled up sentence or not, because it kind of seemed like it, but you know what I mean?
No, you're good. I totally understand that. It's, you got to have more of the things you want to do on your resume, and it blocks out all the shit you did in the past.
Yep.
You know, I mean, but everybody's got to start somewhere.
Oh, 100%. You gotta eat the dirt. Eat the dirt. And you haven't been PAing for a long time, dude. We AC'd together.
Yeah,
I mean, like 4 or 5 seasons. Come on, Dylan. You're smoking too much stuff.
I mean, that was just Fighter though. But.
That was just Fighter. I love Fighter though. That's a great show, man. Good people. That's most of the reason why I would go back. It's just the crew is really good. Like everyone's really awesome. Everyone's really nice. It's like a little family. And I was only there for fucking. I think 24 to 20, or was 30 the last one?
I think you were there for 24 to 27.
I did more than 20. I think I did 29. The COVID one with
Oh, you did do the COVID one.
Who was the last one that I did?
Yeah, we came back. But no, we I totally forgot you were part of the COVID season.
Yeah, man, come on.
That was like right when that was like right after we got back from hiatus.
Yeah, dude. Do we start at A Crew? Who's A Crew? Clarker?
Silton. No, A Crew is Cleely, B Crew is Silton.
I see. Yeah, C Crew with Pinot, man. Come on, Dylan.
You were with
Shout
Silton.
out Pinot. Where's Pinot?
No, you were with Pinot.
I was with Pinot.
And actually, Dunham was with Pinot when he was acing on the show too.
Yeah. That was his. So. Pinot always liked you better, Dunham. And I don't care what you say, Pinot. I know. It's okay.
I mean, going back into, us talking about PAing, you've already talked about it a little bit, but how did you get your start in the production world?
It was a ride. No, it was actually kind of by chance. So I started doing I left school and all that kind of stuff, and I started doing music. And when I was doing music, it kind of transitioned to film because you can make music videos and connect with other artists and stuff. Yeah. So in doing that, I really took it seriously. I was like, okay, let's make a company out of this, and let's make this a real production company. Let's try to build, not knowing what a production company was. You know what I mean? I was like 16 or 17. So I was like, I just want to make music videos and shoot like weddings and real estate and make money that way so I can supplement my music and my art and all that kind of stuff. So I made my company so I could do that and try to leave my 9 to 5 that I was working while I was doing music. And in doing that, you just start to draw business. So I started doing weddings and music videos for local artists, a lot of real estate, a lot of mom and pop shop, cookie bake stores and stuff like that. So for nothing, not knowing what I was doing, kind of doing it again to supplement the music and then try to make money off of it in that way. And then weddings started to pay a little more. Music videos were good, and real estate. And so I did that for a year and a half or 2.
And you did all this before you were PAing and stuff?
Yeah.
Before you got into actual
anything.
production?
Yeah.
Like reality TV?
Yeah, nothing. Nothing,
shit.
dude. I knew what a director was. You know what I mean? Director and producer, it's fucking, those are some big wig people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in doing that, made my film company.
And what is the name of it?
Oh, Shakyamuni Films. Plug ShakymuniFilms.com @ the Shakyamuni Films. Let's go.
Cool.
Try to spell that though. So we're changing the name up. Yeah, that's another story.
You can talk about that a little later.
Yeah. So did that, and this was in like 2013 to 15. Dropped out of fucking college, was gonna do medicine and stuff, but did that. And in like 2015, drones started like coming up, and they had this thing called the 333 permit. So I saw that, I started getting that. That took like skimming through it. That's like a 6-7 month process getting all these things together. And then when I got the drone stuff going, real estate started doing even more because it was just really hot at the time. And then so I'm like jumping around doing all these like small gigs still for like 2 years, getting like $500, dude, to shoot a whole like Rhodes Ranch, Canyon Gate, freaking Southern Highlands real estate video. Spend a day out there, shoot it, edit it, have a drone and a camera and gimbal at like $500. Like, didn't know what I was doing. Like that, like that's what it was. And then
at least you were out there though.
Trying, man, but I was second guessing it because you can't. You do 4 houses a month and that feels good, but that's only like $2,000. Like you're not really doing much. Yeah. So I still had my 9 to 5. Like I was still doing both, but I wanted to transition. And then like one thing led to another, and I met this guy. I went to International Drone Day, and I met this random dude, and he was like, "Oh man, I'm making this new channel. It's gonna be awesome. I can't pay you anything, but I know you have your drone permit." So in 2015, the 333 permit, no one had that shit, dude.
Yeah.
So I got that shit, and I knew the name of the company that got it before me, but dude, from 2015 to 16, there were 2 companies that could fly drones legally, and your boy was one of those shits. So it was good. So I met this guy, and he wanted to do something for the news, and he was like trying to start his own channel. He said he couldn't pay me anything, but exposure, and I can get you this new channel, and I can get you a lot of clients and all this kind of stuff. And like I'm just grinding at the time, so I'm like, okay, I'll go up to like North Las Vegas Park and shoot this stuff for this guy. So shot some stuff for this guy, give him the card, gives it back, never hear from the dude again. Like whatever happened, I don't even remember his name.
Oh shit.
But while I was shooting the drone stuff during the event, this guy comes up to me and is like, "Hey man, like, are you allowed to like fly the drone and all this kind of stuff?" And we're like talking and telling him that, yeah, I have my 333 permit, I have my license and all this, which was pretty hard to find in Vegas at the time. Like no one had that. So then he was like, "Oh really?" And like I've shown him all this stuff, and ends up it was this guy, I think it was James Moore, and he works for 5-6 Productions here in Vegas. Shout out 5-6 Productions. I don't know if you worked with them, but they're awesome.
I haven't yet, but I have heard of them.
They're great, dude. They just set up a studio with a huge cyclorama and editing bays, like multiple editing bays. They do like remote editing, just like pump stuff out. I have this whole studio, all the cameras and equipment you need. They have everything, so super useful. But yeah, they've grown a lot. But so met James, which is one of their what's it called, like not co-owner, but he's in charge of all the rentals and stuff. And so we get to talking, and he tells me that they have this shoot next week for Spring Valley Hospital. We're doing this like portable commercial. We need these permits and all this kind of stuff. Like, can we use your permit and hire you as a drone operator and rent your equipment? That was the first time I had heard anything like that. Like, it's always been like, I'll come shoot whatever for this much money and I'll edit, I'll do everything. He's like, no, come with your equipment, come with yourself, come with your permit, do this legally, give us the card, we'll download it, we'll give it to you back. We'll give you like, I think it was like 11 or 1,200 or something like that. I don't want to spew numbers or anything because that kind of feels pretentious, but it was like huge for me. I was like doing. No,
I mean you were
yeah, dude. I was like,
your first time doing like rental.
Yeah, dude. I was like 18 or something, 18 or 19, and I was like, I show up for a day. I don't have to edit anything. I could come out with my kit and my permits that I've got. Like, it's not a hassle. They're sitting in my room. It was just like mind blowing at the time.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so that was like my first ever production anything. And they get my email down, and they send me an email. First time getting a call sheet. I'm like, oh, it's a drone operator. Like, oh, that's cool. You know, and it's like director of photography. I was like, oh wow, this is like kind of cool. Not knowing what a director of photography is, there's just a whole list of things. And then go out there, shoot with them. Things go well, and then I got really good friends with the DP of that shoot. His name was Carlo. Carlo's gonna hate me. I don't know his last name. Oh no! Carlo Saezon. Carlo Saezon. So he was the DP on that, And we just hit it off. We got along, and we were just like talking. I was just telling him I don't know fucking jack shit about anything. And yeah, I don't know. We just kind of hit it off. He got my contact and was like, hey man, like I DP this show called Miss Universe, and they need PAs next week to like help out with production. I'm like, what is that? Like, what's a PA and what is this and what's that? He's like, so you're like he's like explaining the whole thing to me. Like, you're a drone operator, there's operators, and then on like there's PAs and like all this kind of stuff. He's like, you get paid $250 a day. It's gonna be for 12 days, and you got to pick up hot girls and get some coffee. I'm like, I ain't fucking do that. Like, I'm shooting houses for $500. Like, I can pick up some models at the airport and get them coffee for 10 days. Let me do that. So ended up working Miss Universe. Did really well there. It's cool because you could track it back, and I think that's a benefit of the industry too. I don't know if everybody can do this, but you can backtrack like seasons and shows, and everything kind of meshes. But there's highlighted seasons and shows that you can kind of go through to kind of track your progress. But so this was like December 2016, Miss Universe. So I worked that, did good on that. Met Zachary Porter. He was our audio mixer that I was PAing for the crew.
I know Porter.
Yeah, Porter's awesome. Shout out Zach. I haven't seen him, I don't even think since then. Like, or he worked one season of Fighter, I think. So he was the audio soup for Fighter, and that's kind of like really what propelled my connection making in like the real industry. Yeah. So like hat off to 5-6 Productions. But I tell them that all the time. I had no idea what the industry was at all, and that one job like opened up everything. And like I was green to production as the structure and like politics and how the machine works, but I had been involved in like cameras and drone permits and editing. Like I'd had that part of me already, you know what I mean? And then ran into this and it just opened it. Like, didn't know this was a thing really. Like, you think filmmaking, but you don't think call sheets, production. You don't know what a coordinator, you don't know anything. Like, fuck all that. So then worked Universe, met Zach. Zach got me on the Fighter, started PAing. That's might have been when we met, because I think my first season was the season after McGregor. It was Joanna, Ian Jacek.
That was my first season
Claudia
as well.
Gadella. Yeah. So then, so I think that's when I met you and Gibo. So that's 2000. That's February 2017, and it's been 89. It's almost been 6 years since then.
That was 17.
Yeah, for sure. January, February.
Yeah, I guess that checks out. Yeah.
I think like 100%. Because I remember I was eating dirt from like 13 to 15, making fucking weddings and shit. Weddings, dude. Fuck weddings.
Yeah, so I mean, you're basically, you're pretty set. Like, you're going in, you're working Fighter, then you work Universe, and then you're going into 5-6.
Yeah.
And then you're on Fighter, you were PAing, and then you 5-6 gave you the opportunity to do drone work, and then Miss Universe came along, and then you were able to do more drone work.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where now that's just all you do now is just drone work, and then you go back into regular camera operating.
Yeah.
But I mean, you talking about Miss Universe where you were getting to travel a little bit. Can you explain a little bit like what it's like to travel? Like, are you going into like fucking 5-star hotels and getting room service and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, all the time. No, I'm kidding. Quite the opposite. Miss Universe though was a really good production, and every time we would go overseas, it'd be sponsored by a pretty wealthy provider. So it'd usually be a hotel sponsor, and they would put us up in really nice hotels actually. So for Philippines, we were in like the Nobu Hotel for a month or so. And then in Thailand, we were in like, it's called the Dusitani, which was old, but it's still nice. They took care of us. Travel was all right. But then you get some other shows where you like drive out to the middle of BD, Nevada or something, and you're staying in a Motel 6. So it kind of varies on the production, but I'd say for the most part, it's been pretty rough, like Motel 8s, like Holiday Inn type situations. But, you get to travel for free, so it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to the whole traveling I'm used to the whole traveling thing too, where, you know, the one place I did stop at, it was in Utah. I was working on a show, and I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Hilton.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Yeah.
So far, out of everywhere that I've traveled to and had to stay at these hotel motels, that has been the best one I've ever been to.
Really? Luck of the draw, baby.
Crazy. Because, like, I'm staying in some hood shit.
Yeah.
Like, bad stuff. Where, like, you know, there's bugs everywhere. There's, you know, stains in the shower. There's stains on the carpet. You don't even want to take your socks off, your shoes. You don't even want your shoes off.
No. Yeah, I hate that.
And then getting into bed, like, I've started to learn to, if I'm traveling for, like, to the point where, like, I can travel.
Yeah.
I'll bring my own pillow. I'll bring my own blankets. I'll bring my own sheets.
Yeah.
And fucking throw those fuckers off and put my own shit on there. I know that, you know, if there's bed bugs there, they can crawl through it. But, like, the feeling that I get when I know it's my stuff,
a little more comforting,
makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, it's peace of mind. Peace of mind.
I've gotten to the point where I've brought my own cleaning supplies, dude.
Really?
Like, just in case, like an emergency.
See, I'm a dingy motherfucker. I don't do that.
I can't. Like. There's some things where I'm just like, I'm cool with, and then there's some things I can't.
No, it's the cleanliness sometimes is an issue, but I haven't gone as far as that. But, you know, sometimes they do take care of you, but I'd say more times than not. I think production's gonna fix that. There's tiers to production, I think, and like, I don't know. There's one tier where it's really cheap on crew and how they take care of them, and understandable. There's always a budget, but then sometimes you get productions that really take care of you, and that's nice when you get those. So I've seen both spectrums, but I'd say 80% of the time it's like dingy Motel 8s, Hiltons. I got a lot of Hilton points. I got a lot of Marriott points, that kind of thing.
How's the traveling when it goes to like different countries? Like how are the airfare? How's the airfare
It's
there?
like the processes to that. It's a fucking lot, man. The trip to the airport is a whole stage of, like, obviously not production, but it's a whole thing. It's a whole compartment in your head. You're not showing up to the airport with a backpack and like hopping on. You can't show up 30-40 minutes. You're showing up like 3-4 hours to be safe, and showing up with 16 to like 20 things of equipment. And that's for like I usually travel for documentaries, so I can't even imagine like a big reality show, for example. Granted, they usually truck them to location, but yeah, like traveling with 16 to 22 cases is a ton. And then when you're talking international trip, then it's such a headache. You're dealing with carnets. The fees are the last part of it because production takes care of that, but you're dealing with people digging through your shit. You're dealing with the paperwork prior, like the carnet. And then when you get to the airport, you're dealing with 20 fucking cases that you have to unload from a car. You usually get like a Skyfair guy to give you a roller, which is a whole ordeal in itself. And it's like, there's always lines, and LAX is horrible. JFK is horrible. O'Hare is horrible. Like it's just a headache. But yeah, basically that it turns into the trip to the airport is a whole event. It's a whole thing. And it's a fucking massive headache. So once you're past getting everything checked in, that time from TSA to flying is like the most peaceful fucking time. You're finally done with all that shit. The hard work's kind of done, and then you usually like grab a beer or something, and then you like relax. But then when you land in the other country, you're also dealing with baggage claim. Like you lose baggage far too often. So if that happens, it's like a map of like what could happen, and if these like variables happen, then you have a whole different problem. So you could get through the airport, no problem, no lines, you're good, you land, fucking immigration's nice, baggage claims there, everything is smooth. It's like that's the perfect case scenario. But then a lot of times you'll lose a bag, or you'll mainly that you'll lose a bag, or carnet takes forever, or you don't have paperwork for a fucking cable, or immigration's super strict. They don't like the battery. Like there's a whole bunch of like variables that make the whole ordeal that much more stressful, because if it's streamlined, you're good. But then if you run into these problems, it's a fucking headache. But yeah, like landing in another country, usually you go through immigration, which could take a long time, and then you go to baggage claim, grab all the fucking baggage. Also, trying to find a foreign sky carrier with a huge luggage thing can be super stressful. Sometimes they don't even have a cart, and then you're dealing with your one Rockarola cart that you have. It's just fucking headache. And then sometimes you have a sky cab. Sometimes you have a sky cab there waiting, and they're really easy, and you just get them, pay them, and then put all your luggage on. But yeah, it's just a headache. We're like professional movers, you know what I mean? You get all these bags on, you get them to another country, you get them checked out, you put them on another carriage, and you load them in the van, you go to a hotel, you unload that shit, you put it in your fucking room, and then you build shit, and then you go out, and it's a whole ordeal. Like, traveling with gear is just, it's not vacation, it's still work. It's all work, which we were talking is like what's it called? The highest misconception I think people have with the industry and traveling with work is the fact that it's not vacation. Everybody knows that, and yeah, your office is cool, and there's a lot of rewarding factors to that, but the dirty side of it is you are carrying van loads of equipment everywhere, and breaking down and building and moving and lifting and building and breaking. It's just like it's a non-stop move type of thing for the X amount of time that you're at location, unless you have like a day off. But we were shooting this documentary in Europe, and we went to, this is where it sounds cool. It's like, oh, we shot this cool documentary in Europe, and we went to Denmark, Spain, France, and multiple places in France, Spain, and then Denmark. And we did that over maybe 14 days or 14 days. And dude, it was intense. Like, so we left JFK at 6 p.m. I leave my apartment at 2 in the afternoon, like noon, right? Get to JFK at like 3 p.m. So your day's already started. It's fucking 12 p.m. the day before, or the day of travel. You get 16 cases to JFK. You check them all in. You go through Carnet, all that kind of stuff. You fly fucking 12, 13 hours to Denmark, land in Denmark. And this is kind of the production's fault, but like you run into this a lot. So then we land in Denmark, get all the shit, go through Carnet again, go through immigration, get out, build everything, because we have we have an interview to shoot in 3 hours. We land at like 9 and we have an interview at 12. So then we land in Denmark, get all this shit, build all the cameras, 3 cameras, audio's building audio, get the sticks. Everything's in fucking travel luggage, so you even just building the sticks is a hassle. Building the monitors, all that kind of crap in the parking lot of the airport. Load all that shit into like a 9-pass van for 4 people, and then like there's 4 people, and then the rest of the fucking huge van is equipment. And then we travel from the airport directly to our interview spot. Get there, it's a 3-story building. You have to carry lights and cameras and sticks and monitors and everything. Coming off of a freaking 13, 14-hour flight, traveling since 12 p.m. the next day. It's now 11:30 a.m. in Denmark, so it's probably like fucking 10 in the morning in New York. So you've already been traveling for you've been traveling for almost 24 hours, straight into an interview, do the interview for 3-4 hours, break everything down, get back in the van. Now it's like 5 p.m., shoot some B-roll around town, then go from downtown Copenhagen. And yeah, you're in Copenhagen, it's really cool, all this kind of stuff, but you go from downtown Copenhagen, and it's the little moments. You're still shooting, so it's like, okay, you're in Copenhagen, it's really beautiful, you can take it all in, it's really pretty, and you're shooting and you're appreciating all that, but you're also working. So then you're shooting and you get that little window of like serenity almost, and then it's back to it. Then you're like breaking down, getting in the van, driving to the hotel that you haven't even checked in. It's now 7 p.m. Fucking get all the gear into a room, start charging batteries, start downloading footage, and that takes like an hour or so. That takes a long time. And then getting everything ready for tomorrow, because you have an interview at 9 a.m. So then it's fucking 8:30, 9:30 p.m. You've been traveling since 12 p.m. New York time. You're in Denmark. And then you go have dinner. By the time you go to bed, it's like 11:30, 12, you know? And then you're up at 6 in the morning to load everything in the van, wheels up at like 7:30, 8. and then jet from 8 to 9. From 8 to 9, finally get to the next interview spot, do the same thing over, unload the van, get into the interview spot, set up the everything, monitors, lights, cameras, sticks, all that shit. Do an interview for 2-3 hours, break down, get everything ready to fly, go have lunch, flight's at 4 p.m., it's noon, fucking get to the airport at 2, go through the whole fucking process again, get everything into TSA, all that kind of shit. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. Finally through, and then fly from fucking Copenhagen to like Paris, you know, and then we land in Paris, or we went Denmark, we went Copenhagen, and then we went to Madrid, and then we went to Seville, and then we drove to Cadiz, and then shot an event there for 2-3 days, which was a fucking drag too. So the whole time you're just loading, unloading, setting up, shooting, breaking down, loading, unloading, flying for fucking 4 countries and just like shooting. And you're in cool spots. It's awesome. You're eating really cool food, really meeting really nice people. You have different fixtures in different areas, and you're talking to them. There's a lot of like commute time in between, so you're like getting to know people and stuff. But the whole time you're shooting, and also the whole time you're thinking about what you're shooting. You're not just like chilling out. You're thinking about like, fuck, is this room gonna look like, what's this? I've seen a picture, don't really know what's gonna go on. Like, how's this event gonna be? Like, what are they even looking for? Sometimes you don't even know what the objective is. Like, we're just set like kind of feet to ground and expecting to shoot interviews and events and stuff, and you're shooting interviews and events, but you don't really know what the whole package looks like sometimes, and that makes it difficult to shoot and like pick your moments, which makes you shoot all the time or like think everything is important, which stresses you out and like just bogs you down. And then in that shooter aspect, you get lost because you have this whole travel aspect to it too, and the logistical part of everything, and you just kind of get immersed in that, and it just makes the whole creative process a little more inconvenient in a way, or just distracting. And that's what the constant variable is when you're like traveling international. I think is just even just traveling in general, even within the States, if you're going multiple locations all day every day, it's this constant tracking of equipment and tracking of like what the overall edit's going to look like, and tracking like what you have to like your arsenal. And even like, okay, you're going to go on a fucking hike with this rower through a mountain or whatever the hell, and you're like, okay, well, what can we bring and what can we do, and like what do we need, who do we need, like how many like all that kind of shit. I was like, am I going to be walking around with a 50-pound backpack, or can we bring just all this stuff? And then you're like, okay, so where does this like mountain hiking piece fit into the piece? And then you're like, okay, like how do you want it to look? Is this like a dreamy thing? You know what I mean? There's all these like different variables that scale down from just moving to like meticulous parts, and then it gets down to creative of how you want it to look, and then it gets even just like even in more. And then if you're setting up an interview, it's like the lights, and then how much power is coming out, how much power can we use, are they even like available outlets? And then you get out of that, and then you're like shooting the event, and you're just trying to like jump back into your mind of just shooting, because then like when before production you just go out with your camera and shoot, and you get into like that mode. You have to deal with all of that shit, and then finally when you're in the fucking shit, you're actually doing what you were like hired to do. You've almost forgotten about it. It's this weird like snap back into like mode, like shooting mode in a way, and you've been worried about like memory good, is can the producer see our fucking feed, is this motor gonna work, is this even good lighting, do I want this like a polarizer, like what, there's all these like external variables before you can even escape into like the essence of what most, I feel like every shooter and like director like comes from, of just like shooting. Like that shooting aspect is such a minuscule part of the whole production process. You like not lose it, but it doesn't get, it's like a muscle. You spend this whole shoot 10-12 days, and really like 35% of it, mental capacity, is dedicated to actually shooting. Obviously when you're shooting you're like 100% there, but so most of your mental capacity is spent like worrying about so many other logistical things so many other logistical things before you can actually like go back into like shooting. So yeah, it's weird because like if you feel like, oh, you get to go travel and shoot all these documentaries, it's really cool, which it is, and I love our career, I love our industry, I love what I do, but there is that kind of like shadow part of everything that no one really sees or like takes account for, and I think it's really only evened out because the people who do it really love it, and if you don't, then you burn out too quickly, because it evens out. It's like all that stress, it's not like it's not all just great, but it's so great, and that's what you like genuinely love to do, that it balances out, because like the hard work balances out because it's so rewarding and it's good. So when you're not shooting good projects, you want to fucking kill yourself. But yeah, that's kind of what traveling brings, and a lot of people mistake it, and you don't always get to actually like see the places. You get to see really cool areas because you have all this access, and you're with pretty high profile people a lot of the times, so you're doing all these cool things, and you're eating really good food a lot of the times too, sometimes, and seeing all these like cool sites, and behind like museums, or behind like what's it called, like famous architecture and all this kind of stuff, and you're like in it, but you're not in it, you're still in like shooting work mode, so you're not very much vacationing, which is why if I have time, I like to ask production to like extend my ticket or whatever for like 10 days or 2 weeks or something, and then you pay for your room and board like throughout the thing, which you can go as cheap or expensive as you want, and then you explore. So that's kind of that's like my go-to, is if I'm going out, I make sure production keeps me there for like another 2 weeks, and then I can go explore. But sometimes you don't get that luxury, and you have to go straight back to LA or New York or wherever the fuck you're going, because of whatever reason. But yeah, a lot of pros and cons, dude. A lot of pros and cons to the industry in general, man. There's a lot of beauty in it, and there's a lot of fucking shit to it. And I think it's just a matter of the type of person, and usually the type of person that likes this kind of stuff really loves like what they do, and that's anywhere from like shooting to producing to directing, or just like being in the industry itself is like it's very important, I think, for you to like genuinely like it, because you can run off of the high, I think, for a couple years, but if you're not able to balance out kind of like the energy transaction that the industry takes from you, you're kind of fucked in a way, because it's fun. It's almost all fun for the first couple years where everything's new. It's like, oh, I'm making money. You don't want to hang out with any. You're like focused, right? So you're not really worried about your life per se. You're not worried about like at least for me at first, it's like you're not worried about like your social life almost. It's your career. Like you're ready, and it's sick, and this is what you want to be doing. So then you're traveling, and you're making some money, and you're seeing cool things, you're meeting cool people, and it doesn't feel like work really ever. And then you poke your head up, and it's like 3 years later, and you're like, shit, I haven't really done anything other than work. You know what I mean? And I've even fallen off of my like personal projects. You get in this cycle of like working production to production to production, and it's all good and fun. But that's what I mean about like once you kind of pass the like rose gold glasses of like production and work and film and like the excitement and adrenaline from that, it like dies down a little bit, and you kind of like calculate whether you truly like it or not, because then you start losing aspects of your life in a way, because you're either traveling all year, which is great, it sounds great, and it is great, but you're traveling all year, but then you're missing out on like family events or friend events or like relationship things, or just like your personal projects. You're losing your personal like creative flame a lot of times, because these shows go on for 30-40 days, and then or you could be remote for fucking 2 months or something like that, and it's cool because you're experiencing all those things, but then you still have that other like portion of your life that doesn't get as much attention, and once you start to look at that, you start to realize like what you're actually sacrificing to work and like to push your career, and that can kind of burn you out. It can kind of like dull you down. But again, I think if you truly love like what you're doing in the industry, and again, it could be anything. If you love PAing, if you love ACing, if you love DITing, whatever it is, if you genuinely love like the art that you're doing or the work that you're doing, it balances out like the burnout type of thing. So a lot of times if like buddies are burning out or like not feeling like this is what they want to do, it's usually like a perspective shift of maybe you're not shooting the right things you want to do because you like look, okay, what do you want to do? Work at fucking Domino's or something, you know? Or do you want to like, why did you have to look back on why you got into this. And a lot of times, well, from my experience, it's once you look back, you see kind of the core reasons of why you started doing things, and that kind of like puts on a different lens so you can see like the core of your like creative flame or whatever it is. And then you can also realize that the encompassing work that might seem like it's feeding that part of you, you start to realize that it's not really. It's like more it's draining you more. And what's it called? And then you start to realize, and that's why I compartmentalize all these productions as your 9 to 5. It's when you start not feeding that creative part of you that initially got you into the industry. And once that flame dies out, then you're just a cog in a machine again, and you're working. It's like a corporate job, even though it's not. So then you get the negatives of both worlds. You get the unstable chaos, and you don't get the fulfillment. It's just a paycheck now. So now you're just like kind of like that. That's where I see a lot of friends burn out and stuff. So then, yeah, you revert, look at what makes you inspired or creatively like invigorated, and you kind of try to have to lean back on that. And if you don't have that, that's when I see people start changing careers and stuff, because then they start to see it's like, just like I like the facade of it all, and the work is hard and kind of fulfilling, but like I can't feed that part of me anymore. And when they don't have like the artistic or whatever it is, like for me, if I didn't like shooting cameras and I didn't like lights and I didn't like stitching things together and seeing that whole process, like the creative process, if I didn't like that and I didn't feel fulfillment from that, you wouldn't be able to back out of the 9 to 5 part of the industry and kind of find comfort and relief in doing that on your own type thing. So when I feel burned out, I usually find myself working on all these personal projects and I like bring it back. But if I didn't have that, I would probably find another career, like, you know, and because in shooting your personal projects, you feel good and you're like, fuck yeah, like, let's go. And like, I can create some stuff for some other people and then clients and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have that and you're like burnt out on the industry, you don't have anything to do with industry, and you go start painting, or I guess that's creative too. You start like banking or something, and then you start finding happiness in there. Like that's your like zone. You're not going to go back to like work in production, I don't think. So it's like, yeah, it's one of those things. I think if you want to do it, make sure you love to do it, because if you don't love to do it, you're going to burn out and you're going to fucking find yourself in a very depressive state, I feel like.
So it sounds like you basically wrapped up, you know, the travel side of it, and it also sounds like you wrapped up pretty well the stresses of the job. Yeah. And, you know, what you try to do to become less stressed with that job by taking on, you know, personal projects and stuff like that. And you try to get back into it. You try to fall back in love with what you do. And, you know, it also sounds like a little bit that you know, try to give a little bit of a personal advice to people that are, you know, wanting to try to break into the industry too. Yeah,
I think it's helpful. It's like foresight. I'm not the most fucking experienced person. I am still really young, and there's a lot of older people, like better people out there too, that like have had more longevity in this like lifestyle. But I mean, I have a little bit of experience, so anything you can hand down that's helpful for somebody else to navigate, I think is useful. It's a little, you know, little token.
I got like 2 questions left for you, and one of them is you know, you do so much, you travel so much, you've been to so many places, you've worked your ass off.
So nice.
Can you tell me one place that you've been to? What is the one meal that you had that fucking knocked your socks off, and where was it from?
It's a pretty good question. In a good way or a bad way?
Well, we can do both, a good and bad. Go with a good one first.
Okay. So this is actually, now that I think of it more, it's kind of hard. So off the top, like the best places I've had food that stick out would be Denmark, Japan, and Mexico. Like good food in there. But so out of those three though, it's not that interesting, but it just rings true, is Japanese sushi is like no other sushi that you've had anywhere in the States. I think I can 100% say that nothing here in the States, probably arguably around the world, sushi-wise, is better than just straight up Japanese sushi. It's so good. It's so good. Like I love salmon sashimi, for example. I eat it all the time here. And California, even like Hawaii has good sushi, but Japanese sushi is like, it's the whole thing. Like the fish is extremely fresh. It tastes like, when you say fish, you think fishy and salty and sea, but all the fish there, not even just the salmon, taste like what fish should taste like. Like fish, when you think of fish, it shouldn't be a fishy, weird, salty taste. It's almost like a meat taste. Not meat. It's just weird. And you get that experience from eating Japanese sushi. And a lot of times I'll go, and it's you get like the taste platter. Like I just won't go all out and just eat sashimi. I'll have, I think it's called like omasake or something, and the chef will set out a plate of like 16, 17 different like sashimis and nigiris, all like tinctured to perfection. Like you get salmon nigiri, but there's like real wasabi and just enough wasabi where it's not overpowering, like layered on the rice, and then like the rice is so good, and the seaweed wrap that they use is so good, and then the fish is so fresh, and then they'll put some sort of like sauce. Like you don't want to just dip it into soy sauce. They always have like a little lather of sauce on top, and then you eat that, and it's just like this, like I think it's like umami when everything like comes together. They just have it down, and everything's so fresh that you get this totally different sushi experience. And I love sushi. I'll go eat all you can eat sushi. Vegas has great sushi. Poke. We got great fish in Vegas compared to a lot of the, like even like LA and New York. Vegas has, I think, like better and more mass of sushi than either of those places, unless you go to a stupid expensive restaurant. But Vegas sushi gets stomped on by Japanese sushi. And Vegas sushi, to some people, is like, oh, you're landlocked in the middle of the desert. It can't be that good. Vegas sushi is fucking really, really, really good. And Japanese sushi shits on that. And yeah, so that was like one of the few times I've been to another country and I've been like, holy shit, like this shifts my perspective on this food, on sushi. Like sushi, that's the bar. That's the bar.
So sushi from
Japan. Yeah, my bad. That was a little rant on sushi.
No, you're good. I mean, it sounds like you really like the sushi over
so
there.
Good. Obviously, go to Japan, get some sushi. Go to the northern fish market. Oh, good.
So let's do the complete opposite of that. What was the one that you
worst? It wasn't the worst, but it was the most like experience, like change of experience. I think aspect ratio just changed.
Oh yeah, it did.
Did we stop?
Like I said, it's got a mind of its own, dude.
Oh, there's not a. Are we going?
Yeah.
Ooh, balut is actually really not that good. I don't like it. Do you like it?
I used to until I knew what it was.
It was like, how did you not know what it was? Balut.
I always just ate it. Pulled it out and played with it in front of me.
Dude, see, I can't do that. If I'm drunk and like there's balut around, I'll eat the white and stuff, but I will not eat the. I won't. I'll put the juice. So if I'm drunk enough, I'll put the juice on like rice and then have like the whites of the egg. But I will not eat the duck. Fuck that, man. Fuck that. No, thank you. Balut, but it's worth the try. So as far as like worst experiences on food.
So yeah. So what is your worst
food experience?
Worst food experience from around the world.
So. Kind of tricky question, and this is why. So the worst ever food experience that I've ever had, I worked on a show in fucking, no shame to this show or company, worked on the show in Hawthorne, Nevada. It was a mining show, and we stayed out there for 3 weeks. And it was the worst because we'd start at 6 a.m, drive out to the mine, shoot all day, have cold subs from fucking the gas station in Hawthorne, Nevada, which is population like 1,200 people, middle of nowhere. Have that for lunch, maybe have a burger on some days, like kind of cold. And then at night, the only thing that's open at 8 p.m. is a bar. It's called like Joe's Tavern in Hawthorne, Nevada. Shout out Joe's. And all you would have there is bar food. So for like 3 weeks straight, I was eating chicken wings. And I love chicken wings, but it was the worst experience of my life food-wise. But that's just like objectively the worst. Now, like the more interesting one would be it wasn't the most delightful, and it was just an experience. But it wasn't horrid, but it was weird. I ate the nose of a musk ox in Canada, and it was like livery tough and kind of like tasted like liver meat. And it wasn't like I didn't throw up, and but I also wasn't like, oh, this is delicious. But I'd never eaten a fucking nose of anything before, let alone I didn't even know what a musk ox was at the time. So I ate a musk ox nose, and it was like kind of mind-blowing, and also not the best food. It's kind of gross to eat a nose, you know what I mean?
I don't even know what a muskox is. So.
It's like a bison, except it lives in the northern region of Canada. So it's this like stinky, long-haired ox that they killed for this Survivor show, and the natives made food out of the parts that they didn't use, and one of them was the nose. So, and apparently it's a super respectful part of the animal to eat. That and the heart, which we also ate the heart. So that was cool. But the nose took the cake there.
Well, it sounds like you're a little bit more adventurous with food than I am. I wouldn't be fucking with any of that.
If you were there, you would have eaten it.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't get pressured. I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, let me go get those shitty Hawthorne chicken wings before I eat that.
Sucked water out of a lake from a moose's aorta. Kind of cool.
I would probably do that.
It was probably grosser than the what's it called? Nose, because it was a Survivor show, so they fucking killed this moose and used its innards to survive for like a month, and one of the girls got the aorta of the heart and like cut it with a rock, and so she had this like thick aorta, and she would use it as a straw. And like towards the end of the season, I was like, we're shooting them all day, I was like, can I try your aorta straw? And then she gave it to me. It was like kind of gross, I'll be honest, but like, so it was like, it's more of the fact of how many times you're gonna be able to use a moose's fucking aorta as a straw. So I did it, but it was gross. It was like grass and stuff in it.
Yeah, but I mean, at that point, like, it's better than the food, because all you have to do is just put it in the lake, wash it out, and then be able to drink out of it.
Fair enough. I guess it was more of the thought. But it was kind of gross. Yeah. But the moose, the ox nose takes the cake for that one.
So I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You know, you took the time out of your day to hang out with me. Got to know a lot of information about how the job in the production world is for you. And I just got one more question for you. Do you have anything you'd like to promote for yourself? Do you want to get your business out there more? Anything?
Thanks, Dylan. Any aerial needs and DP needs, come to Shaw Community Films. We can get you there. You got to get in the strip. You need Washington, D.C., no-fly zone. Got you. L.A., anywhere. New York. Yeah, let's say we can. Shaw Community Films, SHAKYAMUNI Films.com. We'll get you there.